What if every single thought you think is a brushstroke painting the masterpiece of your life? What if reality isn't happening to you, but through you? In this audiobook, you'll uncover the forgotten mechanics of creation, the exact process by which thought becomes form. You'll meet ordinary people who used extraordinary mental focus to bend probability itself. This isn't motivation, it's manifestation physics. By the final chapter, you'll know how to command your inner universe so completely that what you imagine becomes inevitable. Welcome to the formula the ancients guarded, and modern minds are finally ready to wield. Chapter 1. The Invisible Architect. There was once a man whose name has been scrubbed from every registry, every patent office, every hall of fame. History does not remember him because what he created could not be explained by the science of his time, or perhaps any time. They called him mad. They called him a fraud. But in the final years of his life, locked away in a stone tower overlooking a forgotten sea, he built machines that should not have existed, not with gears, not with wires. He built them with thought. The first was a clock that ran backward, unwinding time in the room where it sat. Visitors would enter as old men and leave as boys, though they remembered nothing of the transformation. The second was a mirror that showed not your reflection, but your potential, the person you would become if every limiting belief dissolved. Those who gazed too long into it either went mad with ambition or abandoned everything to chase the vision it revealed. But his masterpiece, the one that caused the authorities to seal his tower and erase his name, was the probability engine. It was a brass sphere no larger than a human heart, covered in symbols from languages that predated written history. When he held it and focused his mind, the world around him would shift. Not dramatically, reality is too stable for that, but in small, precise ways. A door that had been locked would swing open. A letter he needed would arrive precisely when he thought of it. People he wished to meet would appear on his path as if summoned by invisible threads. They found him dead in that tower, the sphere clutched in his hands, a smile on his face. The official report said heart failure, but those who removed his body reported something else. The room was empty of furniture, yet filled with blueprints, thousands of them covering every surface, drawn in perfect detail. Blueprints for machines that wouldn't be invented for another century. Blueprints for technologies we still don't fully understand. The question that haunted the investigators wasn't how he drew them. It was this: if he never built these machines with his hands, how did they later appear in the world, constructed by other inventors who swore they'd never heard his name? The answer lies in what he discovered during those final years of isolation. He had stumbled upon the deepest secret of existence. Consciousness does not observe reality, it authors it. Every thought is a blueprint, every focused intention is an architect's hand, shaping the quantum foam of possibility into the solid structures of experience. You see, the universe is not a fixed stage upon which we move. It is a responsive field, a living canvas that rearranges itself according to the patterns of awareness focused upon it. The inventor understood this. He realized that the machines he imagined with such crystalline clarity, with such emotional conviction, were already half-built in the dimension of pure potential. All that remained was for reality to catch up, to collapse the wave function of possibility into the particle of manifestation. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. Every great inventor, every artist, every visionary throughout history has accessed this same principle, though most did so unconsciously. They would say inspiration struck them, that ideas came from nowhere, but the inventor in the tower knew better. Ideas don't come from nowhere. They come from a field of infinite information, that consciousness can access and shape. Thought is not contained within your skull. Your skull is contained within thought. Consider, before the light bulb existed in physical form, it existed as a pattern in Edison's mind. Before the symphony was performed, it resonated in Mozart's consciousness. Before the sculpture emerged from marble, Michelangelo saw it waiting inside the stone. They did not create from nothing. They accessed patterns from the field of all possibilities and collapsed them into form through the sustained focus of their awareness. You are doing this every moment of your life, whether you realize it or not. The difference between the master and the novice is not ability, it's awareness. The master knows they are architecting reality with every thought. The novice believes they are merely observing a reality that exists independently of them. The inventor's final journal entry, recovered decades later from a hidden compartment, contained only 7 words. I am not in the universe, it is in me. This is where we begin, with the recognition that you are not a powerless observer trapped in a random universe. You are the invisible architect. Every thought you think is a tool. Every belief you hold is a blueprint. Every emotion you feel is the energy that pours foundation and raises walls. The question is not whether you are creating your reality. You are constantly, inevitably. The question is, are you creating it consciously, or are you allowing the default programs of fear, doubt, and inherited limitation to build your world for you? The tower still stands, they say, on the coast of a sea whose name has been forgotten. And on certain nights, travelers report seeing lights in its windows, blueprints glowing in the dark, machines building themselves from pure thought, waiting for someone to remember the secret. Welcome to the Architecture of Consciousness. Your apprenticeship begins now. Chapter 2, The Law Beneath All Laws. Before matter, there was vibration. Before vibration, there was consciousness deciding to know itself through experience. This is not poetry, this is physics at the edge of discovery, where science and mysticism shake hands in the dark. The double-slit experiment changed everything, though most people who learn about it in school never grasp its full implications. When you fire a photon, a single particle of light, at a barrier with 2 slits, something impossible happens. If you're not watching, the photon behaves like a wave and goes through both slits simultaneously, creating an interference pattern on the screen behind it. But the moment you place a detector to observe which slit the photon passes through, it chooses one slit and acts like a particle. The act of observation collapses the wave of probability into a single outcome. Read that again. Your observation, your consciousness focusing on a quantum event, determines whether it manifests as a wave of possibility or a particle of actuality. The universe, at its most fundamental level, is not made of things. It's made of potentials waiting for consciousness to collapse them into form. But here's what the textbooks don't emphasize enough. If observation affects the quantum realm, and if everything in existence, including your body, your phone, the chair you're sitting on, is made of quantum particles, then observation is affecting physical reality constantly. Your awareness is not a passive witness. It is an active participant in the construction of the world you experience. Now, let's go deeper. What is observation, really? It's not just looking, it's consciousness focusing through the lens of expectation, belief, and emotion. When you observe something, you're not neutral. You're bringing your entire mental and emotional state into the act of observation. You're bringing your vibration. Everything in the universe vibrates. Atoms vibrate, molecules vibrate, your cells vibrate at specific frequencies. Your thoughts are electromagnetic patterns. They have measurable frequencies. Your emotions generate coherent fields that can be detected several feet away from your body. You are not a solid object occupying space. You are a complex symphony of vibrations. a localized intensification of frequency patterns in the unified field of consciousness. And here's the key: like frequencies attract. This isn't mystical thinking, it's resonance, a principle demonstrated everywhere in nature. Strike a tuning fork tuned to 440 Hz in a room full of instruments, and the strings tuned to that same frequency will begin to vibrate in sympathy without being touched. Play a note near a piano with the damper pedal down, and the strings matching that frequency will sing back to you. You are broadcasting a frequency signature every moment: your habitual thoughts, your dominant emotions, your deep beliefs. These form a complex waveform that radiates outward into the field. And the field, being responsive, begins to vibrate in harmony with you. It sends back experiences, circumstances, people, and events that match your frequency signature. This is the law beneath all laws. Consciousness vibrating at specific frequencies organizes matter and probability to reflect those frequencies back to itself. This is why two people can live in the same city, work in the same building, and yet inhabit completely different realities. They're tuned to different frequencies. They're collapsing the quantum wave function in different ways based on their vibrational set point. The implications are staggering. If thought is frequency, and frequency shapes reality, then changing your thought patterns isn't just positive thinking, it's retuning the instrument of your consciousness to resonate with different potential realities. There isn't one fixed future hurtling toward you. There are infinite potential timelines existing simultaneously in the quantum field. The one that manifests as your experienced reality is the one that matches your dominant vibration. Ancient wisdom traditions knew this. They spoke of it in different languages: as above, so below; as within, so without. What you hold in consciousness must manifest in experience. They understood that the external world is a mirror reflecting the internal state of the observer. Modern quantum physics is catching up to what mystics have taught for millennia. Particles exist in superposition, in all possible states simultaneously, until observation forces them to choose. But choice is the wrong word. The particle doesn't choose randomly. It collapses into the state that matches the expectation, the vibration, the consciousness of the observer. You are observing your life into existence every moment, but you're doing it unconsciously, running programs installed by parents, culture, trauma, and repetition. The average person thinks 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, and 90% of them are the same thoughts they had yesterday. They're re-observing the same reality into existence over and over, then wondering why nothing changes. But here's the revolution. If reality is responsive to observation, and observation is shaped by vibration, and vibration is determined by thought and emotion, then by consciously changing your vibration, you change which version of reality you collapse into manifestation. This is the bridge between mind and matter. This is the mechanism beneath the miracle. You are not manipulating reality from the outside. You are adjusting your resonance from within, and reality, being fundamentally consciousness, having an experience of itself, adjusts to match. The universe is not neutral, it's responsive, it's intelligent, and it's listening to the frequency you're broadcasting right now, in this moment, through every thought you think and every emotion you feel. What are you telling it? What reality are you calling forth through the vibration of your being? Chapter 3: The Mirror Principle. Stand before a mirror and raise your left hand. The reflection raises its right hand. Make an angry face. The mirror shows anger back to you. You cannot smile into a mirror and see a frown reflected. You cannot gesture peace and receive war in return. The mirror has no agenda, no preference, no bias. It simply shows you what you show it. This is precisely how reality works. Every experience you have, every person who enters your life, every circumstance that unfolds around you, all of it is a reflection of your inner state, not sometimes, not mostly, always. This is not metaphor. This is the operating system of consciousness itself. The external world is a mirror, and you are standing before it every moment, though you've forgotten you're holding the original image. Most people have this backward. They believe the external world is primary and their thoughts are reactions to it. Someone cuts them off in traffic and they think, that person made me angry. They don't get the promotion and they think, the universe is against me. Their relationship falls apart and they think, I chose wrong, I'm unlucky in love. They're reading the mirror and forgetting about the person creating the image. But the mirror reflects. It does not initiate. Your external reality is always, without exception, a perfect reflection of your internal reality, not your wishes. Your wishes are often superficial, contradicted by deeper beliefs, not your surface thoughts. You can affirm abundance while vibrating lack. The mirror reflects your true vibration, the sum total of your beliefs, especially the unconscious ones and the emotional frequency you habitually broadcast. This is why affirmations alone often fail. Someone stands in front of the bathroom mirror saying, I am wealthy, I am worthy, I am powerful, while every cell in their body is clenched with the belief that they're broke, inadequate, and weak. They're trying to change the reflection by shouting at the mirror. It doesn't work that way. You must become the image first. You must embody the frequency first. Then, and only then, does the mirror show you the corresponding reflection. Consider a man who constantly complains that people disrespect him. Everywhere he goes, he encounters rudeness, dismissal, condescension. From his perspective, the world is full of disrespectful people, and he's the unlucky victim of their behavior. But what he doesn't see is the belief running in his subconscious. I am not worthy of respect. This belief vibrates out from him like a radio signal, and people, being sensitive to vibrational frequency, whether they know it or not, respond to that signal. They treat him according to the broadcast he's sending. He created the original image through his belief, and the world mirrors it back faithfully. The moment he changes the belief, truly changes it, not just intellectually, but vibrationally. The reflection changes. People begin treating him differently, not because they changed, but because he stopped broadcasting the signal that invited disrespect. The mirror always reflects the current image. Or consider a woman who repeatedly attracts partners who abandon her. She believes the problem is her taste in men, her bad luck, or perhaps some cosmic injustice. But beneath her conscious awareness runs a deep belief. I am not worthy of being chosen. People always leave me. This belief was probably installed in childhood. Maybe a parent left. Maybe love was conditional. Maybe she internalized a message of unworthiness. Whatever the origin, the belief is now a frequency generator. It broadcasts a signal. I expect abandonment. And the universe, being a perfect mirror, sends her people who will fulfill that expectation. Not because it's cruel, but because it's lawful. The mirror shows what you show it. When she heals the belief, when she reprograms her internal image to I am worthy of lasting love, I am chosen and treasured, the mirror changes. She begins attracting different partners, or the same type of partner responds to her differently because she's broadcasting a new frequency. The external always follows the internal. This principle operates at every scale. You look at your bank account and see scarcity, never realizing that the scarcity in your account is a reflection of the scarcity in your consciousness. You look at your body and see illness, not recognizing that the illness is often a physical reflection of emotional discord or mental patterns of self-attack. You look at your relationships and see conflict, unaware that the conflict outside is a mirror of conflict within, perhaps between your authentic self and your conditioned self, between your desires and your beliefs about what you deserve. The mirror principle is both humbling and empowering. Humbling because it means you can no longer play the victim. If everything is a reflection, then you are the artist of your experience. There's no one to blame, no external force controlling your fate. Empowering because it means you have total creative control. Change the image, and the reflection must change. The mirror has no choice but to reflect accurately. This is why inner work is not optional. It's foundational. You can try to rearrange the reflection all you want. Change jobs, change cities, change partners, change your wardrobe. But if you don't change the image you're broadcasting, the new reflection will simply be a variation of the old pattern. The person who runs from a toxic relationship without healing the belief that attracted it will find a new person who reflects the same toxicity in a different form. The mirror is relentless in its accuracy, but here's the liberation. The moment you take full responsibility for being the original image, you reclaim your power. You stop waiting for the world to change. You stop begging the mirror to show you something different. You simply become the image you wish to see reflected. Want respect? Embody self-respect so deeply that disrespect cannot find resonance in your field. Want abundance? Vibrate abundance. Feel wealthy before the bank account shows it, and the account will mirror the vibration. Want love? Become the love you seek. Love yourself so thoroughly that your frequency attracts a partner who mirrors that vibration back to you. The mirror is patient, it is eternally neutral, and it is always, always reflecting exactly what you are showing it right now, in this moment, through the sum total of your beliefs and vibrations. Look at your life. What is it showing you? That is the image you've been holding. If you don't like the reflection, stop trying to change the mirror. Change the image. Become what you wish to see. The reflection has no choice but to follow. Chapter 4. The Frequency Formula. Thought without emotion is like a seed without water. It contains potential but lacks the catalyst for growth. If you want to understand the mechanism of manifestation, you must understand this. Thought provides the blueprint, but emotion provides the power. Together they form the complete frequency signature that the universe responds to. Consider radio transmission. The voice, the information, is the thought. But the voice alone cannot travel across distances. It needs a carrier wave, a powerful frequency that can transport the information through space to your receiver. Emotion is the carrier wave of manifestation. It amplifies thought and broadcasts it into the quantum field with enough power to collapse probability waves into physical reality. This is why you can think about something casually for years with no manifestation. But when you think about it with intense emotion, desire, fear, joy, desperation, it materializes rapidly. The thought was always there, but the emotional intensity gave it the energetic power to penetrate the field and reorganize matter. Ancient traditions understood this. Prayer works not because words have magic, but because the emotional state during prayer, faith, devotion, desperate hope, acts as a carrier wave for the intention. The monk who prays with lukewarm attention manifests nothing. The monk who prays with every fiber of their being, tears streaming, body trembling with faith, moves mountains. Same words, different frequency, different power. Science is beginning to validate this. The HeartMath Institute has demonstrated that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the body. This field changes based on emotional state. Coherent emotions, love, gratitude, peace, create smooth, ordered wave patterns. Incoherent emotions, anger, anxiety, frustration, create chaotic, disordered patterns. These fields are measurable, real, and influential. They affect not only your own biology, but the people and environment around you. When you feel deep gratitude, your heart generates a coherent electromagnetic field. This field aligns with the zero-point field, the quantum substrate underlying all reality. In that moment of coherence, your vibration is clear, powerful, and focused. You become a tuning fork resonating at the frequency of what you desire, and the field responds by matching that frequency with corresponding experiences. This is the formula. Clear thought plus elevated emotion equals manifestation. Let's break it down. Clear thought means knowing what you want with precision. Vague desires produce vague results. I want to be happy is not clear. Happiness means different things to different people. I want to wake up excited about my work, in a relationship where I feel seen and cherished, with enough financial freedom to travel twice a year, is clear. It gives the universe a specific image to reflect back. Elevated emotion means feeling as if the desire has already manifested, not hoping for it, not wishing for it, not even believing it will happen in the future, feeling it as real now. This is the secret that most people miss. The universe doesn't respond to future tense. It responds to present moment frequency. If you want something but feel its absence, you're broadcasting the frequency of lack, and lack is what you'll manifest more of. But if you can close your eyes and feel the joy, relief, excitement, gratitude of already having what you desire, if you can generate that emotional state independent of external conditions, you collapse the wave function in your favor. You become a vibrational match for the reality where that desire already exists. And because infinite timelines exist simultaneously in the quantum field, the one you resonate with is the one that manifests as your experience. This is not wishful thinking. This is frequency matching. You wouldn't expect to tune your radio to 95.5 FM and receive the signal broadcasting on 101.3 FM. Similarly, you cannot vibrate at the frequency of unworthiness and attract experiences that reflect worthiness. You cannot feel poor and manifest wealth. You cannot feel lonely and attract fulfilling connection. The frequency you broadcast is the frequency you receive. Here's the practical application. If you want to manifest something, don't focus on its absence. Don't focus on not having it, on needing it, on how unfair it is that you lack it. All of that generates the frequency of lack, and lack will be mirrored back to you perfectly. Instead, imagine it already done. Feel into the end result. What would it feel like to have this? How would your body feel? What emotions would move through you? Access those emotions now, not as imagination of the future, but as present moment experience. This is why gratitude is so powerful. When you feel grateful for something you desire as if you already possess it, you're generating the frequency of having, not wanting. Thank you for my thriving business generates a different frequency. Then please send me a thriving business. One broadcasts abundance, the other broadcasts lack. The frequency formula is also why fear manifests quickly. Fear is an extremely powerful emotion. When you're afraid of something, losing your job, being rejected, getting sick, you're thinking about that outcome with intense emotional energy. That combination of thought plus powerful emotion creates a strong broadcast. And the universe, being a neutral mirror, reflects back experiences that match the frequency you're sending, regardless of whether you want them or not. You're not being punished. You're being responded to. This is why worry is anti-prayer. When you worry, you're vividly imagining unwanted outcomes and charging them with the powerful emotion of fear. You're doing manifestation work just in the wrong direction. You're collapsing the wave function toward the reality you don't want by resonating with it emotionally. The path forward is simple but requires discipline. Pair every desire with its corresponding elevated emotion. Want health? Feel vitality now. Want love? Feel loved now. Want wealth? Feel abundant now. Generate the frequency of the fulfilled desire before the physical evidence appears. Sustain that frequency despite external circumstances. Become so aligned with the vibration of what you want that the current reality, which doesn't match, becomes uncomfortable. That discomfort is the signal that you're vibrating at a different frequency than your current circumstances, and reality is about to shift to match your new vibration. Thought is the code. Emotion is the compiler. Together they create the program that runs your reality. Master the frequency formula, and you master manifestation itself. Chapter 5. First Ritual, Thought Alchemy. You've absorbed the principles. You understand that thoughts are causal, that observation shapes reality, that the external mirrors the internal, and that emotion amplifies thought into manifestation. Now it's time for practice. Knowledge without application is entertainment, not transformation. This ritual, performed nightly before sleep, will begin the rewiring of your consciousness and the reshaping of your reality. Why before sleep? Because the transition from waking consciousness to sleep is a liminal state, a threshold where the critical, analytical mind loosens its grip and the subconscious becomes accessible. In this hypnagogic state, suggestions bypass resistance and embed directly into the substrate of your being. The last thoughts you hold before sleep become the seeds planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious, and they germinate while your conscious mind rests. The ritual has 3 phases: observe, purify, amplify. Each phase is essential. Skip none. Phase 1, observe, 5 minutes. Sit or lie down in a quiet space. Close your eyes. Turn your attention inward and begin to witness your thoughts without judgment. Don't try to control them. Simply watch them arise and pass like clouds crossing the sky. You're not identifying with these thoughts. You're observing them from a slight distance, as if watching a stream flow by. As you observe, you'll notice patterns. Certain thoughts repeat. Some carry anxiety. Others carry judgment, fear, doubt, or old stories about limitation. These are the default programs, the unconscious patterns that have been running your reality. You've been thinking these thoughts on autopilot for years, never questioning them, and they've been creating your experiences faithfully. The act of observation itself begins to weaken their hold. You cannot change what you cannot see. By bringing conscious awareness to your thought patterns, you create a gap, a space between the thought and your identification with it. In that gap, choice becomes possible. Spend 5 minutes simply watching. Don't try to change anything yet. Just see clearly what's running in the background of your mind. This is reconnaissance. You're mapping the territory of your consciousness before you begin to redesign it. Phase 2. Purify, 10 minutes. Now that you've observed the cluttered, chaotic, fear-based thoughts running through your mind, it's time to clear them. This is not suppression. Repressing negative thoughts only gives them power in the shadow. This is conscious release. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, imagine all those observed thoughts. The worries, the doubts, the limiting beliefs, flowing out of you like dark smoke. See them leave your body with the breath. They have no inherent reality. They were just patterns of energy, and energy can be released. After several clearing breaths, introduce a simple, purifying statement. I release all thoughts that do not serve my highest becoming. Say it internally or aloud, feeling the truth of it. You're not attached to these thoughts. They're not you. They were programs installed by others, by trauma, by repetition, and you're choosing now to uninstall them. Feel the lightness as you let them go. With each exhale, your mind becomes clearer, quieter, more spacious. This is purification, creating an empty canvas upon which you'll now paint a new image. Spend 10 minutes in this phase. Don't rush it. The more thoroughly you clear the old patterns, the more powerfully the new thought will take root. Phase 3. Amplify 10 minutes. Now comes the crucial work, selecting and amplifying a single thought, a thought aligned with what you wish to create, a thought that reflects the reality you want to mirror back to you. Choose carefully. This is not a wish or a hope. This is a declaration of truth from your future self, spoken in present tense. Examples: I am abundant in all areas of life. I am loved and cherished exactly as I am. My body is vibrant and healthy. I create value effortlessly and wealth flows to me. Select one thought. Just one. The power is in focus, not in trying to manifest 10 different desires simultaneously. Choose the thought that, if it became your dominant vibration, would transform your entire reality. Now begin to amplify it. This is where emotion enters. Don't just repeat the words mechanically, feel them. Imagine the thought as a seed of light in your heart. With each breath, see that light growing brighter, expanding, filling your entire chest, then your entire body. Feel the truth of the statement. What would it feel like if this were absolutely, undeniably true right now? Access that emotion. If the thought is about abundance, feel wealthy. If it's about love, feel cherished. If it's about health, feel vitality coursing through your cells. Combine the thought with the feeling and hold them together in sustained focus. This is the moment of alchemy. You're transmuting a simple idea into a frequency signature powerful enough to reshape reality. The longer you can sustain this combined state of thought plus elevated emotion, the deeper the imprint on your subconscious and the quantum field. Repeat the thought slowly, feeling it fully with each repetition. Let it become a mantra, a vibration, an energetic declaration. You're not trying to convince yourself of something false. You're tuning your consciousness to a specific frequency, and that frequency will determine which version of reality collapses into your experience. As you begin to drift toward sleep, hold the thought and feeling as long as possible. Let them be the last conscious experience before you cross the threshold into the subconscious realm. In that liminal space, the thought embeds itself deeply, beyond the reach of doubt, beyond the interference of the analytical mind. The bridge to sleep. As sleep approaches, surrender. Don't grip the thought with effort. Simply rest in the frequency you've created. Trust that the seed has been planted. The subconscious will do the rest, reorganizing neural pathways, adjusting your vibration, and sending the signal into the quantum field. When you wake in the morning, the thought may not be at the forefront of your mind. That's fine. It's working beneath the surface. But throughout the day, whenever you remember, return to it. Feel it again. Reinforce the frequency. You're training your consciousness to vibrate at a new level. And like any training, repetition strengthens the pattern. Commitment. Perform this ritual every night for 30 days. Not occasionally, not when you feel like it. Every night. This is discipline, and discipline is how the miraculous becomes natural. In 30 days, you'll notice shifts. Some subtle, some dramatic. Circumstances will change. Opportunities will appear. The mirror will begin reflecting a new image because you've become a new image. This is thought alchemy, the conscious transformation of mental energy into physical reality through observation, purification, and amplification. You are no longer a passive receiver of random thoughts. You are the alchemist, the architect, the artist of your own experience. The ritual is simple, but simple does not mean easy. The mind will resist. Old patterns will try to reassert themselves. Doubt will whisper. But if you persist, if you honor this practice with consistency and emotional intensity, you will prove to yourself that reality is programmable, that consciousness is causal, and that you are far more powerful than you ever imagined. Welcome to the practice. The blueprint of creation is no longer theory. It's now your daily work. Begin tonight. Chapter 6. The Mind Below the Mind. There was a sculptor in Florence who was unknown for most of his life. While other artists gained commissions and fame, he spent his days in a small workshop, carving stone that no one would ever see. His fellow craftsmen thought him mad. He would stare at blocks of marble for hours, touching them gently, whispering to them as if they could hear. When asked what he was doing, he would say, "I'm asking the stone to show me what it wants to become." This sculptor had discovered something that the celebrated artists of his time had not. The sculpture already exists within the stone. The artist's job is not to impose form upon formless matter, but to remove everything that is not the sculpture. Michelangelo himself would later echo this wisdom. "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." But this sculptor took the principle further. He realized that his own life was like marble, and somewhere within the formless block of his circumstances was the masterpiece of his destiny. The question was, what needed to be carved away? What needed to be removed so that the sculpture of his highest potential could emerge? He began to study his own mind with the same intensity he studied stone, and what he discovered was astonishing. Beneath his conscious thoughts, the daily chatter, the planning, the reacting, there was another mind, a vast, dark, fertile territory that he had never fully explored. This was the subconscious, the realm where beliefs were stored, where patterns lived, where programs ran automatically without his conscious awareness. He realized that his conscious mind was like the tip of a chisel, but the subconscious was the hand holding it. No matter how much he consciously desired success, if his subconscious was programmed with unworthiness, the hand would guide the chisel to carve failure. No matter how much he consciously wanted love, if his subconscious believed he was unlovable, the hand would carve loneliness. The subconscious is the soil in which all seeds are planted. It doesn't judge the seeds as good or bad, wanted or unwanted. It simply grows whatever is planted there with perfect neutrality. Plant fear, and it grows fear. Plant limitation, and it grows limitation. Plant magnificence, and it grows magnificence. The subconscious is infinitely creative, but completely non-discriminating. This is why willpower alone fails. Your conscious mind might decide, "I will be confident," but if your subconscious has been programmed since childhood with the belief, "I am not enough," the subconscious will win. It always wins, because it operates 24 hours a day. It controls your autonomic responses, your attractions and repulsions, your habits and reactions. The conscious mind is the rider. The subconscious is the elephant, and the elephant goes where it wants to go, unless it's been trained otherwise. The sculptor understood this, and so he began the work of reprogramming. Every night before sleep, he would enter the workshop of his subconscious mind. He would visualize himself not as he was, but as he wished to become, celebrated, masterful, wealthy, creating works that moved the souls of all who saw them. He didn't visualize this as fantasy or future. He visualized it as present reality, as if it had already happened. And he did this with feeling. He let himself experience the joy, the pride, the satisfaction of being that version of himself. He spoke to his subconscious as he once spoke to the marble. "Show me what I am meant to become. Remove everything that is not this." Months passed, then years, and slowly, impossibly, reality began to shift. He received his first commission, then another. His reputation grew. Patrons sought him out. The sculpture that existed within the marble of his life began to emerge, not through force, but through the patient removal of everything that was not it. The subconscious is not your enemy. It's the most powerful ally you have once you learn to communicate with it. But you must speak its language. The subconscious doesn't understand words the way your conscious mind does. It understands images, it understands emotions, it understands repetition and intensity. It learns through experience, or the vivid imagination of experience that feels real. This is why affirmations spoken without emotion do nothing. The subconscious ignores them like empty noise. But when you combine clear imagery with elevated emotion, the subconscious pays attention. When you repeat this combination consistently, the subconscious begins to accept it as truth. And once the subconscious accepts something as truth, it reorganizes your entire reality to match that truth. It changes your behavior, your perception, your energetic broadcast, your luck. Consider every skill you've ever mastered, walking, speaking, driving, was once a conscious effort. Now it's subconscious. You don't think about how to walk. Your subconscious runs the program automatically. This is the power of the subconscious. It makes the difficult effortless through repetition until it becomes automatic. The same process works with beliefs and identity. If you consciously repeat a new belief with emotional intensity until it sinks into the subconscious, it becomes automatic. You won't have to remind yourself you're worthy. You'll just feel worthy. You won't have to force yourself to act confidently. Confidence will be your default program. The sculptor spent his final years teaching apprentices. His one central lesson: you are both the marble and the sculptor. Most people don't realize this, so they let life carve them randomly. But you can carve yourself consciously. You can remove every belief, every pattern, every program that is not the masterpiece of your highest potential. The chisel is your conscious intention. The hand is your subconscious. Train the hand, and the sculpture will emerge. He died in that small workshop, surrounded by completed works of breathtaking beauty. But his greatest sculpture was not in stone. It was his own transformed life, the masterpiece he carved from the marble of his circumstances by reprogramming the mind below the mind. Your subconscious is listening right now. It has been listening to you every day of your life, absorbing every thought, every emotion, every repeated pattern as instruction. The question is, what have you been instructing it to create? And more importantly, what will you consciously instruct it to create from this moment forward? The workshop is open. The marble is waiting. The chisel is in your hand. Chapter 7. Emotional Transmutation. In the ancient texts of alchemy, there is a persistent symbol: lead transformed into gold. For centuries, people believed this was literal, that alchemists were trying to turn base metal into precious metal through chemical processes. But the true alchemists knew better. The lead was not in the laboratory, it was in the soul. The gold was not a metal, it was an elevated state of consciousness. The real alchemical work was emotional transmutation, the transformation of heavy, dense emotions like fear, anger, and shame into light, expansive emotions like courage, peace, and love. This wasn't suppression or denial. It was a fundamental change in the energetic signature of the emotion itself, a conscious conversion of one frequency into another. Most people are slaves to their emotions. They feel anger and believe they are angry. They feel fear and believe they are afraid. They've identified with the emotion so completely that they can't see the space between the experiencer and the experience. But the alchemist knows, you are not your emotions. You are the consciousness that experiences emotions, and consciousness has the power to transform what it experiences. Consider fear. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions, second only to love in its intensity and its ability to motivate action. When fear arises, it floods your body with adrenaline, sharpens your senses, focuses your mind. This is energy, raw, potent, creative energy. Most people let this energy control them, sending them into panic, paralysis, or frantic avoidance. But the alchemist sees opportunity. Fear is simply energy labeled as threat. If you can observe the fear without identifying with it, you can strip away the label and work with the pure energy underneath. This energy, intense, concentrated, demanding, can be redirected. Instead of running from what you fear, you can run toward what you desire with the same intensity. The energy is identical, only the direction changes. This is transmutation, taking the raw material of a lower frequency emotion and consciously converting it into fuel for a higher frequency state. There's a story from the desert monasteries about a monk who was plagued by rage. Small things would trigger him, a spilled cup, a careless word from another monk, and he would explode in fury. He tried everything to suppress the rage: prayer, fasting, isolation. Nothing worked. The rage remained, coiled inside him like a serpent. Finally, his teacher gave him strange advice. Stop fighting the rage. Instead, feel it fully. But when you feel it, imagine it as a fire. Watch the fire carefully. What color is it? How hot? How does it move? Then consciously change the fire. Make it brighter. Make it blue instead of red. Make it warm instead of destructive. Turn it into the fire of passion for your spiritual practice. The monk thought his teacher had gone mad, but having exhausted all other options, he tried. The next time rage arose, he didn't suppress it or act on it. He felt it as pure sensation, heat in his chest, tension in his fists, fire in his blood. And then, as instructed, he began to imagine transforming the fire, red to blue, destructive heat to creative warmth, rage at others to passion for his own growth. Something miraculous happened. The energy didn't disappear. It shifted. The same intensity, the same power, but now flowing in a new direction. Instead of lashing out, he went to the chapel and prayed with such fervor that others said the walls seemed to glow. Instead of breaking things, he worked with such focused intensity that his craftsmanship became legendary. The rage hadn't been eliminated. It had been transmuted into holy passion. This is the secret. Emotions are not solid, fixed states. They are energy patterns, and energy is fluid. You can transform emotional energy the way you can transform electricity. The same current can power a weapon or a healing device, depending on how it's directed. Anxiety transmutes into excitement. Both produce the same physical sensations: elevated heart rate, heightened alertness, butterflies in the stomach. The difference is interpretation and direction. Anxious energy focused on imagined catastrophe creates suffering. The same energy focused on anticipated possibility creates motivation. Same energy, different label, different outcome. Grief transmutes into gratitude. The depth of grief you feel for someone's absence is proportional to the depth of love you experienced in their presence. The alchemist doesn't deny the grief. They honor it by recognizing its source, love. And then they consciously redirect focus from what was lost to gratitude for what was experienced. The heaviness transforms into a bittersweet appreciation. The energy remains deep and powerful, but it stops being destructive. Shame transmutes into compassion. Shame says, I am bad. Compassion says, I am human, flawed, learning, forgivable. When you stop resisting shame and instead observe it with compassionate awareness, the way you might observe a frightened child, the energy of shame transforms. The same honest acknowledgement of imperfection that fueled shame becomes the foundation of self-compassion and eventually wisdom. The process of transmutation requires 3 steps, just like the ancient alchemical process. First, separation. You must separate yourself from the emotion. Feel it fully, but observe it from a slight distance. You are not the anger. You are the one experiencing anger. Create space. Second, purification. Strip away the story, the justification, the narrative. Underneath all the mental commentary about why you feel this way is pure sensation. energy moving through your body. Focus on the sensation itself, not the story. This is purification, reducing the emotion to its essential energetic nature. Third, transformation. Consciously redirect the energy. Give it a new label, a new purpose, a new direction. Ask, how can I use this intensity in service of my highest becoming? Then direct the energy accordingly. Fear becomes courage directed toward growth. Anger becomes passion directed toward creation. Loneliness becomes desire directed toward connection. The alchemist's secret was never about changing lead to gold in a laboratory. It was about recognizing that the heaviest emotions, the lead of the soul, contain the same essential energy as the lightest emotions. Both are simply consciousness vibrating at different frequencies, and frequency can be shifted through awareness and intention. You walk through your days carrying enormous amounts of emotional energy. Most of it is unconscious, reactive, misdirected. But every emotion you feel is power, raw, creative, usable power. The question is, will you let it use you, or will you learn to transmute it? The lead is already in your possession. The laboratory is your awareness. The fire is your intention. The gold, the elevated state, the transformed life. The frequency of creation is simply transmuted lead, energy that you've learned to consciously refine. This is emotional alchemy, not the suppression of darkness, but its transformation into light. Chapter 8. Rewrite the script. Your life is running on a script written long before you could read. Every belief you hold, every automatic reaction, every "that's just who I am" statement. These are lines from a script written by parents, culture, trauma, religion, and random experience during your most impressionable years. And you've been performing this script faithfully, unconsciously, as if it were truth rather than programming. But here's what most people never realize. Scripts can be rewritten. You are not doomed to perform the same role forever. You are simultaneously the actor and the screenwriter. The question is whether you're writing consciously or letting the old script run on autopilot. The mental movie method is how you rewrite the script. It combines visualization, emotion, and repetition to overwrite old programming with new programming directly in the subconscious. This isn't fantasy or daydreaming. This is targeted neural reprogramming using the same mechanism by which the original script was installed. Here's how it works. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you imagine something with enough sensory detail and emotional intensity, your brain creates the same neural pathways as if the experience actually happened. This is why athletes use visualization to improve performance. Their brains literally practice the skill in imagination, strengthening the neural circuits that will execute it in reality. You're going to use this principle to rewrite your script, but you must do it correctly. Most people visualize weakly, vague images, no emotion, no consistency. That doesn't touch the subconscious. You need cinema-quality visualization with full emotional immersion, repeated until the new script overwrites the old one. Step 1. Identify the scene to rewrite. What part of your current life script do you want to change? Be specific. Not, "I want to be successful." That's too vague. "I want to confidently present my ideas at work and receive enthusiastic support" is specific. Not, "I want love." That's abstract. "I want to feel deeply connected to a partner who sees me fully and chooses me daily" is concrete. Choose one scene, one specific outcome you want to experience. This will be your mental movie. Step 2. Write the new script in detail. Close your eyes and construct the scene in your imagination with as much detail as possible. Where are you? What do you see, hear, smell, feel? Who else is present? What are they saying? Most importantly, what are you feeling? Don't watch yourself in the scene from the outside. that creates distance. Experience it from first-person perspective, as if it's happening to you right now. See through your own eyes. Hear through your own ears. Feel it in your body. For example, if your scene is receiving recognition at work, don't imagine watching yourself give a presentation. Imagine being yourself. Feel your hands on the podium. See the faces of your colleagues looking attentive. Hear your own voice sounding clear and confident. Feel the satisfaction in your chest as people nod and smile. Hear the applause. Feel the handshakes afterward. See the respect in people's eyes. Make it real. Step 3. Amplify the emotion. This is critical. The scene without emotion is just daydreaming. The scene with emotion is reprogramming. As you run the mental movie, deliberately generate the feelings that would accompany this experience if it were actually happening. Feel proud. Feel grateful. Feel accomplished. Feel loved. Feel worthy. Feel relieved. Whatever emotions naturally arise from the scene, amplify them. Let them flood your body. The emotion is the signal to the subconscious that this is important, that this is real, that this is to be integrated as truth. Without emotion, the subconscious ignores the visualization. With emotion, the subconscious begins to accept it as memory rather than fantasy. Step 4. Repeat until it feels real. Run your mental movie every day, ideally in theta state, the brainwave frequency between waking and sleeping. This is when the critical, analytical mind is offline and the subconscious is most receptive. The best times are right after waking and right before sleep. Play the movie in your mind. Experience it fully. Feel it completely. Do this for at least 10 minutes daily. In the beginning, it will feel like imagination. That's fine. Keep going. After several days, it will begin to feel familiar. After a few weeks, it will feel like memory. When it feels like memory, like something that has already happened rather than something you're hoping for, you've successfully rewritten the script. The subconscious has accepted the new program. Step 5. Theta state affirmation. After running your mental movie, add a short verbal affirmation that captures the essence of the new script. Keep it present tense, personal, positive, and emotional. I am confidently valued for my contributions. I am deeply loved exactly as I am. My body is strong and vibrant. Repeat this affirmation slowly as you drift towards sleep or in the drowsy state after waking. Your brain is in theta waves during these times, around 4 to 8 cycles per second, and this is the frequency at which the subconscious is most open to direct suggestion. Hypnotists use this state. Advertisers try to induce this state. You're going to use it deliberately to install your new script. The mechanism behind the method. When you repeat a visualization with emotional intensity over time, several things happen neurologically. First, you create and strengthen new neural pathways, literally rewiring your brain for the new reality. Second, you shift your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information and determines what you notice. When your RAS is programmed with a new script, you begin to notice opportunities, resources, and synchronicities that align with the script. They were always there. You just couldn't see them because your old script filtered them out. Third, and most importantly, you change your vibrational frequency. As you consistently generate the emotions of the fulfilled outcome, you begin to broadcast a different signal into the quantum field. And the field, being responsive, begins to collapse probability waves that match your new signal. You start attracting different people, circumstances, and outcomes, not magically, but through the precise mechanism of frequency matching. The old script took years to install, through repetition and emotional intensity. The new script can be installed much faster because you're doing it consciously and deliberately rather than absorbing it passively. But you must be consistent. 1 or 2 visualizations won't override years of conditioning. Commit to daily practice for at least 30 days. Most people begin seeing tangible shifts within 2 weeks. You've been performing someone else's script your entire life. It's time to write your own. The mental movie method is your pen. Your subconscious is the page. And the script you write today is the life you'll perform tomorrow. The theater is ready. The lights are dimming. Action. Chapter 9. The Sleep Command. There are 8 hours every night when your conscious mind goes offline and your subconscious takes the stage. Most people waste this time, letting their subconscious replay the day's anxieties or process random neural noise. But those who understand the architecture of consciousness know that sleep is not downtime. It's prime time for reprogramming. The moments just before sleep are among the most powerful opportunities you have to reshape your reality. Your brainwave state shifts from beta, the active analytical waking state, to alpha, then theta, and finally delta as you descend into deep sleep. That transition from alpha to theta is the window. In theta, your critical mind is disengaged, your subconscious is wide open, and suggestions bypass all resistance to embed directly into your belief system. This is the biological basis of hypnosis. Hypnotists don't have magical powers. They simply guide you into theta state and make suggestions while you're there. You can do the same for yourself without a hypnotist. Every night, for free, and with far more precision than any external guide could provide, because you know exactly what programming you need to install. The sleep command is a structured method for using the pre-sleep window to implant specific instructions into your subconscious. It draws from ancient practices. The yogis called it yoga nidra. The mystics called it dream incubation, but it's been refined into a practical, repeatable technique. The mechanism. During waking hours, your conscious mind acts as a gatekeeper, filtering information and questioning new ideas. That can't be true. That doesn't match my experience. That's not realistic. This critical function is useful during the day, but it blocks new programming from reaching the subconscious. However, in the hypnagogic state, the transition into sleep, the gatekeeper goes off duty. Suggestions that would be rejected during waking hours slip past unquestioned and settle into the subconscious as accepted truth. Once installed in the subconscious, these suggestions run automatically, shaping your perceptions, decisions, and behaviors without conscious effort. This is how limiting beliefs got installed in the first place, through repetition during states of lowered critical resistance, especially in childhood. Now you're going to reverse the process by consciously installing empowering beliefs during the same state of openness. The practice. As you lie in bed preparing to sleep, follow this sequence. First, consciously relax your body. Starting from your toes, mentally scan upward, releasing tension from each muscle group. This isn't just for comfort. Physical relaxation accelerates the descent into theta state. Tense body equals alert mind. Relaxed body equals receptive mind. Second, slow your breathing. Breathe deeply into your belly, extending the exhale slightly longer than the inhale. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system and signals to your brain that it's safe to lower defenses. Within minutes, you'll feel the shift, a slight heaviness, a gentle floating sensation. You're entering alpha state, approaching the theta threshold. Third, mentally repeat your sleep command. This is a single, carefully constructed statement that captures the essence of what you want to install in your subconscious. It must follow specific rules. Present tense, never future. I am wealthy, not I will be wealthy. Personal and specific. I am, not one should be. Positive statement, not negative. I am confident, not I am not afraid. Emotionally resonant. It must generate feeling when you say it, short enough to remember and repeat without effort. Examples: I am worthy of extraordinary love. I create wealth effortlessly and joyfully. My body heals and strengthens naturally. I am safe, supported, and guided. As you drift toward sleep, repeat this command slowly, silently, feeling the truth of it with each repetition. Don't force concentration that activates the waking mind. Let the words arise gently, naturally, like a lullaby. If your mind wanders, that's fine. Gently return to the command. The goal is for the sleep command to be the last conscious thought before you cross into sleep. As you slip over the threshold, the command sinks into the subconscious, undefended, unquestioned, accepted. The amplification. The sleep command is powerful on its own, but you can amplify it by adding visualization. As you repeat the command, imagine a scene that embodies it. If your command is about wealth, see yourself checking a bank balance that makes you smile. Feel the relief and joy of financial freedom. If it's about health, feel vitality in your body. See yourself moving with ease and strength. If it's about love, imagine being embraced by someone who cherishes you. Feel the warmth and safety of being fully seen. The combination of words plus images plus emotion is the trifecta of subconscious programming. You're speaking all the languages the subconscious understands simultaneously. The morning echo. When you wake, before fully engaging with the day, repeat your sleep command again. You're in theta state for a few moments after waking, the mirror of the pre-sleep state, and suggestions made now also bypass critical resistance. Morning repetition reinforces what was planted the night before, doubling the impact. This creates a sandwich effect. Programming as you enter sleep, processing during sleep, and reinforcement as you exit sleep. Your subconscious receives the same message 3 times in a context of heightened receptivity. The evidence within days, you'll notice subtle shifts. You'll catch yourself thinking differently, acting differently, choosing differently without trying. That's the subconscious running the new program automatically. Within weeks, external circumstances will begin to shift, reflecting the new internal programming. Opportunities aligned with your command will appear. People who reinforce the new belief will enter your life. Resources you need will surface. This isn't magic, it's the natural result of changing your internal broadcast frequency. The sleep command connects to an ancient lineage of dreamworkers and consciousness explorers who understood that sleep is not unconsciousness, but rather a different kind of consciousness. One where the walls between imagination and reality dissolve, where thought moves more freely, where seeds planted in fertile darkness grow into tomorrow's experiences. You spend 1/3 of your life asleep. That's over 20 years if you live to 80. For most people, those years are wasted, filled with processing anxiety and replaying limitation. But for those who learn the sleep command, those years become the laboratory where reality is reconstructed, where identity is rebuilt, where the future is programmed one night at a time. Tonight, before you sleep, you will give yourself a command. What will it be? Chapter 10. Second Ritual. The 72-hour thought experiment. You've learned the principles, you've practiced the techniques. Now comes the proof. A controlled experiment where you become both scientist and subject, testing whether focused thought truly alters the fabric of reality. This is not belief. This is empiricism. You will run the experiment and observe the results yourself. The 72-hour thought experiment is deceptively simple. For 3 consecutive days, you will hold one pure thought with unwavering focus and elevated emotion, then document every synchronicity, opportunity, or unusual occurrence that manifests during and immediately after the experiment. The results will demonstrate in terms you cannot deny that consciousness shapes probability. The setup: choose a single thought. One desire, one intention, one outcome you want to call into your reality. Make it specific enough to be measurable, but open enough that the universe has room to deliver it in unexpected ways. Not, "I want exactly $5,000 by Friday." That's too rigid. Better, "I am open to receiving unexpected financial abundance." Not, "I want Sarah to text me." That's manipulation. Better, "I am magnetic to aligned, joyful connections." The thought should be moderately challenging but believable. If you choose something your subconscious considers completely impossible, resistance will sabotage the experiment. Choose something that stretches your current reality but doesn't break it. You're looking for evidence of influence, not instant miracles. Those come later with practice. The discipline. For 72 hours, this thought becomes your central axis. Not your only thought. You still need to function in daily life. But your primary thought, the one you return to constantly, the one you hold in the background even while doing other things. Every time you notice your mind wandering into worry, complaint, or distraction, gently redirect it back to the chosen thought. Not with force, that creates resistance. With gentle persistence, like training a puppy. Thank you, mind, but right now we're focusing on this. At minimum, consciously engage with the thought at these moments. Upon waking, before each meal, during any pause or transition in your day, and before sleep. That's at least 7 deliberate engagements per day, each lasting 2 to 5 minutes. During these engagements, don't just think the thought, feel it. Generate the emotion of the fulfilled outcome. Make it real in your body. Between these formal engagements, maintain light awareness of the thought. Let it hum in the background, like a frequency you're broadcasting. You might silently repeat a short phrase that encapsulates it. Abundance flows, love is here, health returns, whatever captures your chosen thought. The journal. This is crucial. Starting from the moment you begin the experiment, keep a detailed journal of anything unusual that happens. Document synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, unexpected connections, patterns that seem too precise to be random. Opportunities, invitations, ideas, resources, or paths that suddenly appear and relate to your thought. Encounters, people who show up in your life and somehow relate to your intention. Inner shifts, changes in how you feel, perceive, or respond to circumstances. Tangible results, actual manifestations, however small, that align with your thought. Write these down immediately when they occur. The mind is quick to rationalize synchronicity as coincidence if you don't capture it in the moment. "Oh, that was just random," is the ego trying to maintain its worldview. Document first, analyze later. You're creating evidence. Most people experience synchronicities constantly but dismiss them because they're not paying attention. During this experiment, you're paying attention. You're watching how reality responds to focused consciousness. The emotional fuel. The thought alone is not enough. You must charge it with emotion every time you engage with it. Remember the frequency formula. Thought plus elevated emotion equals manifestation. The emotion is the carrier wave. It amplifies the signal and broadcasts it with power. What emotion naturally arises from your chosen thought? If it's about abundance, feel grateful, relieved, excited. If it's about connection, feel warm, open, loved. If it's about creativity, feel inspired, energized, alive. Don't fake the emotion. Access it genuinely by imagining the thought already fulfilled and feeling what you would feel. If you struggle to generate the emotion, it might mean you don't actually believe the thought is possible. That's useful information. Either adjust the thought to something more believable or do specific work on releasing the resistance before beginning the experiment. The 3-day timeline. Why 72 hours? 3 days is long enough to see results, but short enough to maintain focus without burnout. It's also symbolically significant. Many spiritual traditions recognize 3 days as a cycle of death and resurrection, ending and beginning, old form dissolving and new form emerging. Day 1 will feel effortful. You'll forget frequently, catch yourself in old thought patterns, struggle to maintain focus. That's normal. Keep redirecting gently. Day 2, the practice becomes smoother. The thought starts to feel more natural, more true. Your emotional access deepens. You might notice the first synchronicities appearing. Day 3, something shifts. The thought feels integrated. You're no longer trying to hold it, it's holding itself. And reality begins to conspire. The synchronicities multiply. Opportunities appear. The external mirrors the internal. Post-experiment integration. After 72 hours, review your journal. Look at what appeared. Don't dismiss anything as coincidence. At minimum, ask yourself, what if this wasn't random? What if consciousness influenced this? Hold the possibility. You'll likely find evidence of influence. Small, medium, or occasionally large manifestations that correlate with your focused thought. This evidence is valuable not because it proves anything to anyone else, but because it proves something to you. Your subconscious needs evidence that the principles work, and this experiment provides that evidence in personal, undeniable terms. If you see clear results, you'll naturally want to continue. The 3-day experiment can extend to 7 days, then 30, then become a permanent practice. You've discovered that consciousness is not passive, it's causal. If results are minimal, examine the experiment honestly. Did you truly hold the thought with consistency and emotion, or did you do it half-heartedly, already doubting it would work? The universe responds to your actual frequency, not your stated intention. Skeptical focus is still focus on skepticism. Try again with a different thought or with greater emotional engagement. The ultimate purpose. This experiment is not about getting what you want, though you may. It's about discovering what you are, not a victim of circumstance, not a leaf blown by random winds, but a conscious creator with the power to influence probability through focused awareness. Once you know this, not as concept, but as lived experience, everything changes. You stop waiting for permission, for rescue, for conditions to be perfect. You start consciously directing your energy, choosing your frequency, broadcasting your intention into the responsive field of reality. The 72 hours begin whenever you decide. Choose your thought, set your intention, start the timer, and watch what happens when consciousness focuses with clarity, emotion, and discipline on a single point. The experiment awaits. The evidence will come, and you will never see reality the same way again. Chapter 11, The Observer's Throne. In a monastery perched on a mountain that touches clouds, there lived a monk who was also a scientist. This paradox troubled his fellow monks, who believed science and spirituality were opposing paths, but he understood what they did not. Both are investigations into the same truth, simply using different instruments. Science uses microscopes and mathematics. Spirituality uses attention and awareness. He learned to use both. His name was Tensor, though whether this was given or chosen, no one remembered. He spent his mornings in meditation and his afternoons in a small laboratory he'd built in a cave behind the monastery. While other monks debated doctrine, Tensor conducted experiments on the nature of observation itself. His breakthrough came during a winter retreat, when he was practicing one-pointed concentration, focusing his entire awareness on a single candle flame for hours without wavering. After the 3rd hour, something shifted. The flame didn't just exist in his perception, it seemed to respond to his perception. When his attention intensified, the flame grew brighter. When his focus wavered, the flame dimmed. At first, he attributed this to oxygen currents from his breathing, But the correlation was too precise, too consistent. He began testing systematically. He placed sensors around the candle to measure light output, airflow, temperature. He discovered that when he entered deep, unwavering focus, the flame's luminosity increased beyond what air currents could explain. The act of focused observation was amplifying the flame. He expanded the experiments. He focused on plants and measured their growth rates. The plants receiving focused attention grew faster than control plants. He focused on water and found that its crystalline structure changed when observed with different emotional qualities. Gratitude created geometric patterns. Anger created chaos. This wasn't belief. This was measurement. Other scientists, when they heard of his work, dismissed it as experimental error or wishful thinking. But Tensor knew what they didn't. The observer is never separate from the observed. Consciousness and matter are not two things. They are one thing expressing itself in two modes, and the bridge between them is attention. He came to understand attention as the throne from which consciousness rules reality. Where you place your attention, energy flows. Where energy flows, matter forms. This is not mysticism, it's the fundamental architecture of manifestation. Your attention is not passive observation. It's active creation. You are not watching your life unfold. You are collapsing quantum possibilities into experiences through the laser of your focused awareness. Most people scatter their attention like sunlight through a prism, diffused, weak, ineffective. They think about 100 things shallowly and wonder why nothing manifests with power. But when you concentrate attention like sunlight through a magnifying glass, it creates fire. Concentrated attention is the mechanism by which thought becomes thing. Tensor discovered that attention has two components, duration and intensity. Brief, weak attention creates minimal effect. Sustained, intense attention reorganizes reality. This explained why worry manifests so effectively. People give worry sustained, intense attention, often for hours or days. They're accidentally creating what they fear through the same mechanism that could create what they desire. He also found that divided attention creates conflicting realities. If you focus on abundance for 5 minutes but worry about scarcity for 5 hours, you're broadcasting conflicting signals. The universe responds to your dominant frequency, your primary focus. This is why casual positive thinking fails while obsessive negative thinking succeeds. The negative has more attention, more intensity, more consistency. Tensor taught his fellow monks a practice he called the observer's throne. Sit in meditation posture. Recognize that from this throne, the seat of consciousness, you rule the kingdom of your experience. Your attention is the scepter. Whatever you point it toward grows in your reality. Whatever you withdraw it from fades. Choose one thing, one desire, one outcome, one version of yourself, and place your full attention on it. Not scattered, distracted attention. Not attention divided between hope and doubt. Full, undivided, unwavering attention as if nothing else exists. Hold it there for at least 20 minutes daily. Watch what happens. The monks who practiced this reported extraordinary results. The monk who focused on compassion found himself naturally responding to others with kindness, even in situations that once triggered anger. The monk who focused on health found chronic pain diminishing week by week. The monk who focused on wisdom found insights arising spontaneously throughout the day, not because they tried to force these outcomes, but because attention directed energy, and energy created form. Before he died, Tensor wrote one final equation on the wall of his cave laboratory. AXTXI, where IM, attention multiplied by time, multiplied by intensity, equals manifestation. His fellow scientists never understood it. His fellow monks never saw it. But those who discovered it after his death recognized it as the formula underlying all creation. You sit on the observer's throne right now, whether you realize it or not. You are directing attention somewhere, toward fear or possibility, toward what's missing or what's emerging, toward the reality you're leaving or the reality you're creating. The throne doesn't care. It simply amplifies whatever receives your focus. Where is your attention right now, in this moment, over the past week? That is what you're creating. That is what will manifest. The scepter is in your hand. The kingdom awaits your command. Choose your focus. Command your reality. Rule from the throne. Chapter 12. Parallel Potentials. The life you're living is one branch on an infinite tree. Right now, as you read these words, countless other versions of you exist in parallel potential. Versions where you made different choices, held different beliefs, took different paths. This isn't science fiction. This is quantum mechanics translated into lived experience. In the quantum realm, particles exist in superposition, all possible states simultaneously, until observation collapses them into one state. Your life works the same way. Every moment presents infinite possibilities, infinite timelines, infinite versions of what happens next. They all exist as potential until your consciousness collapses one into actuality through the combined force of belief, emotion, and action. Think of it like standing at the center of a vast sphere. In every direction, forward, backward, left, right, up, down, and all angles between, there's a path, a timeline, a version of your future. The version where you're wealthy exists. The version where you're fulfilled exists. The version where you're healthy, connected, creative, free, all exist as real potentials in the quantum field. But here's the key. You can only experience the timeline you're vibrationally aligned with. You cannot access the wealthy timeline while vibrating poverty. You cannot access the healthy timeline while vibrating disease. You cannot access the love timeline while vibrating unworthiness. The timeline you experience is always, without exception, the one that matches your dominant frequency. This is why affirmations without belief shift nothing. You say, "I am wealthy but feel poor," and you stay on the poor timeline. The words don't matter. The feeling frequency determines which timeline you're on. When you truly feel wealthy, when you've shifted your vibration to match the wealthy timeline, you don't need affirmations. You're simply experiencing wealth as your current reality because you've jumped timelines. Every thought is a timeline selector. Think scarcity, and you activate the scarcity timeline. Think abundance, and you activate the abundance timeline. The timelines are already there, fully formed, waiting. Your consciousness doesn't create them from nothing. It selects which one to experience through the frequency it broadcasts. This explains sudden life shifts that seem like miracles. Someone receives a devastating diagnosis, completely transforms their mental and emotional state, and the illness vanishes. Did they heal on their timeline? Or did they shift to a timeline where the illness never progressed? Both descriptions point to the same reality: consciousness changing frequency and accessing a different probability stream. Consider the version of you that already has what you desire. That version exists right now in parallel potential. It's not in the future. It's in a different frequency band of the present. The distance between you and that version isn't temporal, it's vibrational. Close the vibrational gap and you merge with that timeline. The experiences that version has become your experiences. How do you close the gap? By becoming the person who already has it, not acting like them, being them. What does the wealthy version of you believe about money? What does the loved version of you believe about relationships? What does the healthy version of you believe about their body? Adopt those beliefs. Feel those feelings. Make those choices. As you do, you're not moving toward that timeline. You're shifting to occupy it. This is why inspired action works. while forced action doesn't. Forced action comes from the current timeline trying to get to a different one. It's exhausting because you're rowing against the current of your own frequency. Inspired action comes from already being on the new timeline. You're simply doing what's natural from that state. It feels effortless because you're flowing with the current of your aligned frequency. Every person in your life exists across multiple timelines too. The partner who betrays you on one timeline adores you on another. The boss who overlooks you on one timeline promotes you on another. When you shift timelines, the people in your life either shift with you, changing how they relate to you, or they fall away and different people take their place. This is why relationships transform or end when you transform. You've moved to a different frequency, and only those who match it remain in your experience. Parallel potentials also explain why past doesn't determine future. On your current timeline, you might have a history of failure, but on an adjacent timeline, you have a history of success. When you shift frequency, you don't drag your past with you. You merge with a timeline that has a different past, or at minimum, a different relationship to the past. The events happened, but their meaning and impact on your present shift. This isn't about denying current reality. It's about recognizing that current reality is one frame in an infinite film reel. You can stay on this reel watching the logical progression of what came before. Or you can change reels entirely by changing frequency. The new reel has its own logic, its own progression, its own set of potentials, all leading somewhere different. The universe is not a single timeline moving from past through present to future. It's an infinite number of timelines existing simultaneously, and your consciousness navigates between them through frequency shifts. Every time you change your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, you're timeline jumping. Most people do this unconsciously, randomly, creating a chaotic zigzag through possibilities. But you can do it consciously, deliberately, navigating toward the timelines you actually want to experience. The version of you that already has everything you desire is real. It exists right now, not in the future you have to reach through years of effort. In a parallel present you can access through frequency alignment. The question is not, how do I create what I want? The question is, how do I become who I need to be to merge with the timeline where I already have it? Choose your timeline. Match its frequency. Step into it. It's already there, waiting for you to arrive. Chapter 13. Emotion as Magnetism. If thought is the destination you enter into the GPS of reality, emotion is the magnetic force that pulls you toward it or repels you away from it. You can have the clearest vision of what you want, but if your emotional state contradicts it, you'll never arrive. Understanding emotion as magnetism is understanding the propulsion system of manifestation. Physics tells us that like attracts like. Magnets with matching poles attract. Opposing poles repel. Your emotional state is your magnetic pole, and it attracts experiences, people, and circumstances that match its frequency while repelling those that don't. You are a walking electromagnetic field, broadcasting a signal, and reality responds by sending you more of whatever you're broadcasting. When you feel grateful, you magnetize more experiences to be grateful for. When you feel abundant, you magnetize abundance. When you feel loved, you magnetize love. This isn't wishful thinking, it's frequency matching. You cannot feel rich and attract poverty. You cannot feel joyful and attract misery. The law is precise. Your emotional frequency determines what you magnetize. Most people have this backward. They believe external circumstances cause their emotions. When I get the money, I'll feel abundant. When I find the partner, I'll feel loved. When I achieve success, I'll feel worthy. But this is magnetic repulsion disguised as pursuit. By making your desired emotion conditional on the external manifestation, you're broadcasting the frequency of lack. I don't have it yet. And lack is what you magnetize. The secret is reversing the order. Feel the emotion first, and the circumstance follows. Feel abundant before the money arrives, and the money arrives. Feel loved before the partner appears, and the partner appears. This seems impossible until you understand that emotion is not a response to reality. Emotion is a choice about which reality you're tuning into. Joy is the most powerful magnetic frequency, not the shallow, forced positivity that denies difficulty, but the deep, uncaused joy that comes from recognizing yourself as consciousness itself, inherently whole, already complete. When you access this joy independent of circumstances, you become magnetic to circumstances that reflect joy. Gratitude is the second most powerful frequency. Gratitude says, "I have received," rather than "I am seeking." It's the frequency of fullness, not emptiness. When you feel genuinely grateful, not performatively listing things you should be grateful for, but actually feeling the warmth of appreciation, you shift your magnetic pole to attraction. The universe responds by giving you more to be grateful for, because you're broadcasting the frequency of having, not wanting. Peace is magnetic in ways most people don't recognize. In a culture addicted to striving and struggle, peace feels passive, but peace is actually the frequency of alignment. When you're peaceful, you're not broadcasting the chaotic, desperate frequency of need. You're broadcasting trust, sufficiency, divine timing. This magnetizes opportunities that come effortlessly rather than through force. Conversely, fear repels what you desire while attracting what you dread. Fear of poverty magnetizes financial struggle. Fear of abandonment magnetizes rejection. Fear of failure magnetizes failure, not as punishment, but as precise frequency matching. You're broadcasting, "I expect this negative outcome," with such intensity that reality delivers it. Anger is also repellent, but in a different way. Anger broadcasts a frequency of separation, conflict, defense. It repels collaboration, support, ease. Even if you're angry about injustice or legitimate wrongs, sustained anger keeps you magnetic to more conflict. This doesn't mean never feel anger. Emotions aren't moral failures. It means don't make anger your home frequency. So how do you shift your magnetic frequency when circumstances seem to justify negativity? This is the practice. First, recognize that you can feel an emotion without external justification. You don't need a reason to feel grateful, joyful, or peaceful. These are states you can access through choice and practice. Yes, circumstances can trigger emotions, but you can also generate emotions deliberately through focus, memory, imagination, or embodiment practices. Second, practice emotional rehearsal. For 10 minutes daily, generate the emotions you would feel if your desired reality were already here. Don't imagine the circumstances. Go straight to the feeling. If you want financial freedom, access the feeling of relief, security, abundance. If you want love, access the feeling of being cherished. If you want health, access the feeling of vitality. Generate the emotion as purely as possible, without attachment to the story. Third, catch and redirect magnetic repulsion. Throughout the day, notice when you're broadcasting fear, lack, or unworthiness. Don't judge yourself, just notice. Then consciously shift. Take 3 deep breaths. Find one thing to appreciate. Remember a moment of joy. You're not suppressing the negative emotion. You're choosing not to let it become your dominant broadcast frequency. Fourth, use physical anchors. Your body and emotions are intimately connected. Stand differently and you feel differently. Smile, even artificially at first, and within seconds, your brain chemistry shifts toward positivity. Move your body with energy and confidence, and the emotion follows. Use your body to shift your magnetic state. The goal isn't to be positive all the time. That's exhausting and inauthentic. The goal is to not let negative emotions dominate your broadcast frequency. Feel what you feel, process it, but then consciously return to the magnetic frequencies that attract what you want: joy, gratitude, peace, love, abundance, worthiness. Your emotional state is the most powerful tool you have. More powerful than visualization, more powerful than affirmation, more powerful than action, because emotion is the frequency that determines which timeline you're on and what you magnetize into your experience. Master your emotional state and you master manifestation, not by controlling emotions through force, but by consciously choosing which frequencies you broadcast most of the time. You are the magnet. Reality is the iron filings. What are you attracting? Chapter 14, Action as Alignment. There's a trap in manifestation teachings that has derailed thousands. The belief that thought alone is enough, that you can visualize and affirm while taking no action, and somehow reality will rearrange itself to deliver your desires on a silver platter. This is magical thinking masquerading as manifestation. The truth is subtler and more powerful. Action is essential, but not all action is equal. There are two types of action, and understanding the difference is critical. The first is forced action, doing driven by fear, lack, or the belief that you must make things happen through sheer effort. This is the action of rowing against the current, of hustling from a place of unworthiness, of trying to compensate for inner lack with outer effort. Forced action is exhausting, inefficient, and often counterproductive because it broadcasts the frequency of desperation. The second is aligned action. Doing that flows naturally from being in the right frequency, action that feels inspired rather than mandatory, action that comes from overflow rather than deficit. Aligned action is rowing with the current. It's effortless in quality even when demanding in quantity. It works because it's taken from a state that's already vibrationally matched to the desired outcome. Here's how to tell the difference. Forced action feels heavy, resistant, like pushing a boulder uphill. There's a quality of "I have to do this or else" attached to it. Aligned action feels light, even exciting. There's a quality of "I'm pulled to do this" or "this wants to happen through me." Same outward behavior sometimes, completely different inner state, completely different results. Consider two people starting businesses. Person A decides they should start a business because they hate their job and need more money. They force themselves to work on it every evening, resenting the effort, plagued by doubt, pushing through resistance. The business might succeed, but it will be a grind, and the success will feel hollow because it came from a frequency of lack. Person B has a vision that excites them, a problem they feel called to solve, a service they're genuinely eager to provide. They work on their business with the same hours of effort, but it doesn't feel like effort. It feels like play, like purpose, like creation. This business succeeds more easily because the action is aligned with a frequency of fulfillment and abundance. The universe meets aligned action halfway. It resists forced action. Aligned action has three characteristics. First, it's inspired. It arises naturally from your elevated state, rather than from fear or obligation. You don't have to talk yourself into it. You have to talk yourself out of not doing it. It comes with a sense of rightness, of yes, this. Second, it's present. You're not doing it to escape what is or to reach some future that will finally make you happy. You're doing it because it's the natural expression of who you are now in your current frequency. The action itself is fulfilling, regardless of outcome. Third, it's easeful. Not necessarily easy. Some aligned actions require significant energy and skill, but easeful in the sense that they flow. Obstacles dissolve more easily. Help appears. Synchronicities occur. The path opens because you're walking on the timeline where this action leads somewhere, not fighting against a timeline where it doesn't. The role of action in manifestation is anchoring. Your thoughts and emotions exist in the energetic realm. Action anchors that energy in the physical realm. It's the final step in collapsing wave function into particle, potential into actuality. Without action, manifestation remains in the realm of imagination. Action says, I'm serious about this. I'm willing to move my body, my time, my resources in alignment with this frequency. But, and this is crucial, action doesn't make up for misalignment. You cannot have the frequency of unworthiness and compensate with enough action to manifest worth. You cannot vibrate poverty and hustle your way to wealth. Well, you might achieve wealth temporarily, but you won't be able to maintain it or enjoy it because your inner frequency doesn't match it. Instead, first align your frequency, then take action from that aligned state. This is the proper order. This is why fake it till you make it only works when you're not actually faking. If you're pretending to be confident while feeling terrified, you're broadcasting terror. But if you're embodying confidence, actually accessing the state of confidence and then acting from that state, you're broadcasting confidence and reality mirrors it. It's not faking, it's consciously choosing your frequency and then acting as the physical expression of that frequency. Practical application. Before taking any significant action, check your frequency. Are you doing this from fear or inspiration? From lack or overflow? From I have to or I get to? If it's from fear or lack, either don't do it or shift your frequency first. Take 5 minutes to get into the emotional state of already having what you want, then take the action from that state. You'll notice the difference immediately. The same phone call made from anxiety produces different results than the same phone call made from confidence. The same email sent from desperation gets different responses than the same email sent from abundance. It's not what you do, it's who you're being while you do it. Sometimes the aligned action is to do nothing. In a culture that glorifies busyness, rest and waiting can be the most powerful actions. If nothing feels inspired, don't force action out of fear that you're not doing enough. Trust the pause. Align your frequency. The inspired action will come, and when it does, it will accomplish in 1 hour what forced action couldn't accomplish in 100. Action is not the opposite of manifestation. It's the final phase of it. But it must be aligned action. Action taken from the frequency of the reality you're creating. Action that feels like the natural expression of your aligned state. When action flows from alignment, reality bends. Doors open. Help arrives. Success is inevitable because you're not forcing a timeline. You're flowing with one. What action is calling you from your aligned state? That's the only action worth taking. Chapter 15, Third Ritual, Reality Calibration Sequence. The morning is the hinge upon which the entire day swings. The first hour after waking is when your consciousness is most malleable. When the frequency you set becomes the frequency you broadcast all day. When the reality you align with becomes the reality you experience. Most people squander this hour, immediately checking phones, absorbing news, reacting to external demands. They let the world calibrate them instead of calibrating themselves to the world they want to create. The reality calibration sequence is a morning practice that takes 15 minutes and determines whether you spend the day reacting to circumstances or creating them. It combines visualization with physical anchoring, bridging the energetic and material realms in a way that locks your frequency and makes it unshakable, regardless of what the day brings. Phase 1. The arising, 3 minutes. The moment you wake, before you move, before you reach for your phone, before you engage with any thought about the day ahead, pause. Keep your eyes closed. Become aware that you're aware. This simple recognition, I am consciousness experiencing being awake, is the foundation. You're not immediately identifying with roles, responsibilities, or problems. You're recognizing yourself as the observer, the creator, the consciousness that shapes reality through focus. Take 3 deep breaths. With each exhale, Release any dream residue, any sleep heaviness, any unconscious patterns trying to reassert themselves. You're clearing the slate. Each inhale is an invitation for clarity, energy, intention. You're not just waking your body, you're consciously awakening as the creator of your day. Then ask one question: what frequency do I choose to broadcast today? Not what do you have to do, not what problems await. What frequency? Joy, confidence, abundance, gratitude, peace? Choose one. This will be your calibration frequency, the dominant tone of your entire day. Phase 2, the vision, 7 minutes. Now, still lying down or sitting up in bed, close your eyes and enter the mental movie. But this isn't visualization of distant future. This is experiencing today as already perfect, already aligned, already successful. See yourself moving through the day from first-person perspective. See yourself confident in that meeting. See yourself energized and focused at your work. See yourself patient and present with your family. See yourself handling challenges with ease. See yourself receiving good news, unexpected help, synchronistic opportunities. Don't make it fantasy. Make it the most aligned, best-case version of today. And as you see it, feel it. Generate the emotions you would feel living that version of today. Feel the satisfaction, the joy, the peace, the confidence. Let these emotions fill your body. This is crucial. The vision without emotion is just daydreaming. The vision with emotion is reality calibration. You're tuning your consciousness to the frequency of the timeline, where today goes well, where you're aligned, where manifestation flows. Hold this vision-feeling combination for at least 5 minutes. Let it become real in your nervous system. Your subconscious and your body cannot distinguish between vividly imagined experience and actual experience. You're pre-living the day from the frequency you want to embody. By the time you physically enter the day, you've already experienced success, and that frequency is locked in. Phase 3, the anchor, 3 minutes. Here's where the practice becomes physical. Your body is not separate from your consciousness. It's an extension of it, a biological antenna broadcasting your frequency. To make the calibration permanent, you need a physical anchor. Stand up, place your feet firmly on the ground. Feel the stability of the earth beneath you. Now, physically embody the frequency you've chosen. If it's confidence, stand tall, shoulders back, chin up. If it's joy, let a smile naturally emerge. Soften your face. If it's peace, relax your shoulders, slow your breathing, soften your gaze. If it's power, ground your stance. Feel the strength in your core. This isn't posing, this is embodiment. Your posture affects your neurochemistry. Stand confidently, and within 90 seconds, your testosterone rises and cortisol drops. Smile, and within seconds your brain releases dopamine. Your body is a technology for shifting state. Use it. While holding this physical posture, speak your calibration statement aloud. Not in your head, aloud. Your voice makes it physical, makes it real in the material dimension. The statement should be present tense, personal, powerful. I move through this day with confidence and ease. I am a magnet for opportunity and abundance. I am peaceful, powerful, and perfectly supported. Choose one that matches your frequency. Speak it 3 times, each time with more conviction, more feeling, more embodiment. Feel the words in your bones. You're not hoping these words are true. You're declaring them true and aligning every level of your being with that declaration. Phase 4, the seal, 2 minutes. Finally, create a physical gesture that represents your calibrated state. It could be placing your hand on your heart, making a fist and tapping your chest, pressing your palms together, touching your thumb to your index finger, whatever feels natural and significant to you. Make this gesture while feeling your calibrated frequency as intensely as possible. You're creating a neurological link, an anchor in NLP terms, between the gesture and the state. This becomes your emergency reset button throughout the day. When stress hits, when someone triggers you, when circumstances threaten to knock you off frequency, make the gesture. Your nervous system will remember the calibrated state and help you return to it. This is conditioning yourself for alignment, giving yourself a tool to maintain your chosen frequency despite external chaos. Throughout the day, the calibration isn't one and done. Reality is persistent in testing your frequency. Throughout the day, take micro-calibration moments before important meetings, during bathroom breaks, while waiting in line. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Remember your calibration frequency. Feel it, anchor it with your gesture. These moments maintain your broadcast frequency and prevent default programming from reasserting control. The compound effect: one morning of calibration creates one aligned day. 30 mornings create a transformed life. This isn't exaggeration, it's mathematics. When you start every day in aligned frequency, taking aligned action, magnetizing aligned circumstances, the compound effect is exponential. Each day builds on the previous day's momentum. Within weeks, you'll notice you're living in a different reality, not because circumstances magically changed, but because you're collapsing different probabilities through consistent frequency calibration. The reality calibration sequence is non-negotiable for anyone serious about manifestation. It's the difference between hoping reality cooperates and commanding it. 15 minutes every morning. That's your investment. The return is everything. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you think about your to-do list, before you engage with the world, calibrate. Choose your frequency, lock it in, live it. Watch reality rearrange itself to match. The sequence begins at dawn. Set your intention now. Chapter 16, Becoming the Source. There comes a moment in the journey of conscious creation when the entire framework collapses. Not into failure, but into transcendence. You've learned the techniques, practiced the rituals, seen the evidence. You understand that thoughts create reality, that consciousness shapes matter, that you are far more powerful than you were taught. But now comes the ultimate realization, the one that dissolves all separation. You are not using the field to manifest. You are the field, manifesting itself through the instrument of your awareness. This is the identity shift that changes everything. Up until now, you may have seen yourself as a person in a universe, trying to influence reality from the outside, learning to use consciousness as a tool. But the deeper truth is this: there is no outside. There is no separation between you and the quantum field, between observer and observed, between consciousness and creation. You are not in the universe is in you. Consider the wave and the ocean. The wave might believe it's separate, a distinct entity rising and falling, moving across the surface. But the wave is not separate from the ocean. It's the ocean expressing itself in a particular form. When the wave realizes this, it doesn't lose its individuality. It gains infinity. It recognizes itself as both wave and ocean simultaneously, a unique expression and the totality itself. You are the wave that has remembered it's the ocean. This realization dismantles the old paradigm of manifestation as acquisition. You don't need to attract abundance. You are abundance temporarily experiencing limitation to know itself as abundance. You don't need to call in love. You are love temporarily experiencing separation to know itself as love. You don't need to become worthy. You are worthiness itself, temporarily playing the role of unworthiness to appreciate worthiness. Every desire you've ever had is the universe desiring to experience itself in a new way through you. Every manifestation is the field rearranging itself because you, as a localized point of consciousness, decided to focus awareness in a particular direction. You are not manipulating reality from the outside. You are reality, choosing what to experience next from the inside. This shift from "I am trying to manifest" to "I am the source from which all manifestation flows" is the difference between mastery and struggle. When you see yourself as separate, manifestation requires effort, techniques, perfect execution. You're always trying, always working to bridge a gap between you and what you want. But when you recognize yourself as source, manifestation is simply the natural overflow of your being. You don't create from lack. You create from fullness. You don't manifest to become complete. You manifest as an expression of your completeness. Ancient mystics spoke of this in different languages. I and the Father are one. Tat tvam asi. Thou art that. The kingdom of God is within you. They weren't speaking metaphorically. They were describing the direct recognition that the creative force of the universe is not separate from you. It is you expressing itself as individualized consciousness. When you become the source, several things shift immediately. First, desperation dissolves. You stop chasing because you recognize there's nowhere to go. You already are what you're seeking. Second, doubt dissolves. How can you doubt your ability to manifest when you recognize yourself as the manifesting principle itself? Third, separation dissolves. The illusion that you're here and your desires are over there collapses. You and your desires are movements within the same field of consciousness. This doesn't mean you stop wanting things or taking action. It means you want and act from a completely different place. You're no longer trying to get something you lack. You're allowing the fullness of what you are to express itself in new forms. Your desires become the universe's desires. Your manifestations become the field playing with itself, exploring its own infinite potential through you. How do you step into this identity? Not through belief. Belief still implies separation, something you're trying to convince yourself of. Through direct recognition, in meditation, in stillness, in the gaps between thoughts, you can taste it. The awareness that's reading these words right now is the same awareness that's creating the reality you're reading about. There is no boundary between the consciousness experiencing life and the consciousness creating life. They are one movement, one field, one source. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. You are not a spark from the divine fire. You are the divine fire concentrated into a point of awareness. You are not made in the image of God. You are God momentarily forgetting itself, so it can remember itself with the joy of rediscovery. This is the ultimate secret. There is no manifestation because there is no separation between manifester and manifested. There is only source playing all the roles, creating all the experiences, knowing itself through infinite expressions. And you, reading this now, breathing in this moment, aware that you're aware, you are that source. Not will be, not can become, are, now, always have been. And once you truly know this, not conceptually but directly, reality becomes fluid, because you're no longer trying to change reality from the outside. Your reality, choosing to be different from the inside. Welcome home, Source. Welcome to yourself. Chapter 17. The Synchronicity Symphony. Once you've recognized yourself as Source, reality begins to speak to you in a language most people never learn to hear, the language of synchronicity. These are the meaningful coincidences, the impossible timing, the signs that appear exactly when needed, the invisible threads connecting seemingly unrelated events into a tapestry of guidance. This isn't magical thinking. It's the natural communication system between your localized consciousness and the infinite field of consciousness you're embedded in. Synchronicities are reality confirming you're on the right path, showing you which timeline you're on, providing clues about what wants to emerge through you next. They're the universe's way of saying, yes, this way, when words would be insufficient. Most people experience synchronicities but dismiss them as mere coincidence because they don't understand the mechanism. The mechanism is this: when you're aligned with your true frequency, broadcasting coherence rather than chaos, the field responds by organizing probability in your favor. What you need shows up when you need it. Who you need to meet appears in your path. Information you're seeking finds you. This isn't luck. It's the natural result of being in resonance with the organizing intelligence of the universe. Carl Jung, who coined the term synchronicity, understood it as an causal connecting principle, events linked by meaning rather than cause and effect. A person thinks of a friend they haven't spoken to in years, and within minutes that friend calls. Someone needs a specific book, and the next day they find it randomly at a yard sale. These aren't separate random events. They're coordinated movements within a responsive field. The more conscious you become, the more synchronicities you notice, not because they increase, but because you're paying attention. You're no longer dismissing the universe's communication as coincidence. You're recognizing the patterns, the guidance, the confirmations. There's a rhythm to synchronicity. When you're aligned and moving in the right direction, synchronicities flow like a symphony, one after another, building on each other, creating momentum. Doors open effortlessly, resources appear, the right people say the right things at the right time. This is the universe confirming, yes, this frequency, this timeline, this path. But when you're misaligned, forcing something that's not meant for you, synchronicities stop. You hit resistance everywhere. Nothing flows. Doors close. Timing is off. This isn't punishment, it's guidance. The universe is saying, not this way, not this frequency, not this timeline. Adjust. Learning to read synchronicities is like learning a new language. At first, you miss most of them, but as you practice, you become fluent. You start recognizing the signs, repeated numbers, especially sequences like 1111 or 222, animals appearing in unusual contexts, songs with relevant lyrics playing exactly when you're thinking about something, conversations overheard that answer your unspoken questions, books falling off shelves, chance encounters with people who carry messages you need. The key is to stay open without becoming obsessive. There's a balance between being attuned to synchronicity and seeing signs in everything, turning natural randomness into forced meaning. True synchronicity has a quality of click, a felt sense of resonance, of rightness, of, yes, this means something. It's not the mind forcing meaning onto randomness. It's the soul recognizing truth. Synchronicity works bidirectionally. Not only does the universe send you signs, but you can send requests into the field and watch for synchronistic responses. This is active dialogue with reality. You ask a question internally. Should I take this job? Then you stay alert. Within days, sometimes hours, reality answers. Someone mentions something relevant. An article appears. A dream provides clarity. The answer comes through synchronistic channels because you asked from an aligned state. There's also a playful quality to synchronicity. The universe has a sense of humor. Sometimes synchronicities are so improbable, so perfectly timed, that they feel like cosmic winks. Reality reminding you it's alive, conscious, interactive. When you catch these, laugh, acknowledge them, say thank you either silently or aloud. This reinforces the dialogue and increases synchronistic flow. The most profound synchronicities often appear during transitions, when you're leaving an old identity and stepping into a new one, when you're taking a risk aligned with your deepest truth, when you're finally choosing yourself over conditioning. In these moments, the universe floods you with confirmations as if to say, we've been waiting for you to make this choice. Here's everything you need. As you live more consciously, synchronicity becomes less extraordinary and more ordinary. It's not that miracles happen constantly, It's that you recognize the miraculous nature of the ordinary. Every moment is synchronized. Every encounter is meaningful if you're present enough to see it. Every event is connected to every other event through the underlying field. You are not navigating a random, chaotic universe. You are dancing with a conscious, responsive, intelligent field that's constantly communicating with you through the language of synchronicity. Learn the language, trust the signs, follow the flow. The symphony is always playing. The question is, are you listening? Chapter 18. The Thoughtless State. After all the work of conscious creation, the visualization, the affirmations, the emotional calibration, the aligned action, there comes a paradox that unlocks the deepest level of manifestation. The most powerful creative state is thoughtless, not unconscious, but thought-free, not empty of awareness, but empty of mental content. This is the space where the universe creates through you without interference from the limited, conditioned mind. The greatest creations in history came not from intense mental effort, but from surrender into the thoughtless state. Artists call it flow. Athletes call it the zone. Mystics call it presence or pure awareness. In this state, there is no you trying to manifest. There is only consciousness expressing itself freely, creating spontaneously, without the friction of ego-based desire or fear-based control. This seems to contradict everything you've learned so far. You've been told to direct your thoughts, focus your intention, visualize outcomes. And that's true. That's the path of development, the training required to master the mechanism of manifestation. But there's a stage beyond mastery, transcendence. The archer trains for years to perfect technique, but in the moment of perfect release, technique disappears. There is only the arrow finding its target without anyone shooting it. The thoughtless state is not the absence of creation, it's the fullness of it. When the thinking mind with all its preferences, judgments, and limitations steps aside, the infinite intelligence of the universe flows through you unobstructed. This is when genius emerges. This is when impossible solutions appear. This is when synchronicities align perfectly because you're not blocking the flow with mental interference. Consider the difference between planned speech and spontaneous speech. Planned speech is careful, controlled, often awkward. Spontaneous speech, when you're fully present and responding from a clear state, flows effortlessly and often contains wisdom you didn't know you possessed. That's because in spontaneous speech, you've stepped out of the thinking mind and allowed deeper intelligence to express itself. The same principle applies to creation. Most people live entirely in thought. They think about the past, worry about the future, narrate the present, judge everything, plan constantly. This creates a dense filter through which reality must pass, distorting what could be into what the conditioned mind believes should be. But in the thoughtless state, reality flows unfiltered. You see clearly, respond appropriately, create authentically. This is why meditation is not separate from manifestation. It's the foundation of it. Meditation trains you to access the thoughtless state, to rest as pure awareness without identification with mental content. The more you practice this, the more you can bring this quality into active life. You can take aligned action from thoughtlessness. You can make decisions from emptiness. You can create from presence. The paradox resolves when you understand that there are levels to manifestation. At the beginning, you must engage thought deliberately, visualizing, affirming, directing focus. This trains the mechanism, proves the principles, builds belief. But ultimately, this is still creating from the level of the personal self, which is limited by its conditioning and beliefs. The highest level is creating from the level of universal self, the source consciousness that knows no limitation. You access this level by releasing into thoughtlessness. You've set your intention, done the inner work, aligned your frequency. Now you let go. You stop trying to control outcomes. You stop micromanaging the universe. You drop into presence and trust that what wants to emerge through you will emerge perfectly without mental interference. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you become responsive instead of reactive. Action still happens, but it's spontaneous, arising naturally from the present moment rather than from mental planning based on past and future. This is Wu Wei, effortless action, not because you're not acting, but because you're not acting from ego. Practically, you can practice moving into thoughtlessness throughout the day. When you're walking, just walk. Don't think about walking. When you're listening, just listen. Don't think about what you'll say next. When you're creating, just create. Don't judge whether it's good enough. These moments of thought-free presence are openings through which infinite creativity can pour. The great artists know this secret. They don't try to create. They get themselves out of the way and let creation happen through them. The musician doesn't think about which note comes next in the moment of pure improvisation. The notes play themselves. The writer doesn't construct sentences in flow state. The words write themselves. The inventor doesn't figure out solutions. Solutions appear in the quiet space between thoughts. You've been trained to believe that more thinking equals more power. But the opposite is true. Less thinking equals more power, not less awareness, but less mental noise. When you're empty, the universe can fill you. When you're silent, truth can speak through you. When you're thoughtless, you become an open channel for infinite intelligence. This is the ultimate surrender, not giving up, but giving over. You give over control to the source you've recognized yourself to be. You stop trying to figure everything out and trust the intelligence that created galaxies to handle the details of your manifestation. You rest in thoughtless presence while reality arranges itself perfectly. The path leads to itself. First, learn to direct thought, then transcend thought. Create consciously, then create from consciousness itself. This is mastery beyond technique, the thoughtless state where you are simultaneously creator and creation, manifesting and manifestation, source becoming form. Be still, drop the thoughts, rest as awareness. From this emptiness, everything you need arises perfectly. This is the way. Chapter 19, The Infinite Feedback Loop. You've learned the principles, practiced the techniques, experienced the results. But understanding manifestation as isolated events, I desired this, I manifested that, is still seeing only part of the picture. The deeper truth is that reality is an infinite feedback loop, where each manifestation feeds back into your consciousness, which creates the next manifestation, which feeds back again in a never-ending spiral of co-creation. Every experience you have changes your consciousness. Every manifestation you create shifts your beliefs, your frequency, your sense of what's possible. This shifted consciousness then creates new manifestations that reflect the shift. Those manifestations further evolve your consciousness, round and round forever in an upward spiral or a downward one, depending on which direction you're traveling. This is why success breeds success, and failure breeds failure, not as moral judgment but as mechanical feedback. When you manifest something desired, it proves the principles work. This proof strengthens belief, which raises frequency, which makes the next manifestation easier. Each win creates momentum for the next. You enter an ascending feedback loop where reality and consciousness mutually reinforce each other toward greater expression. The opposite is also true. When you expect failure and it manifests, it confirms your limiting belief. This confirmation strengthens the pattern, lowering your frequency, making the next failure more likely. You enter a descending feedback loop where negative expectation and negative result reinforce each other into deeper limitation. But here's the critical insight. You can interrupt and reverse any feedback loop at any moment through conscious awareness. The loop only runs automatically when you're unconscious. The moment you become aware of the pattern, you gain the power to redirect it. This is why consciousness itself, not technique, not circumstance, is the ultimate leverage point. Consider someone in a descending loop. They expect rejection. Act from that expectation, get rejected, and use it as evidence that they're right. The loop tightens with each cycle. To break it, they don't need more action or better circumstances. They need to interrupt the loop with awareness. They must see the pattern, recognize it's not truth but programming, and consciously choose a different expectation despite current evidence. This single act of conscious interruption begins a new feedback loop. The same mechanism explains exponential growth in any area. The person who manifests a small amount of money feels abundant, which raises their frequency, which attracts more money, which makes them feel more abundant, which attracts even more. Each cycle amplifies the previous one. This is the compound effect of consciousness. Small shifts create small results that create bigger shifts that create bigger results, accelerating over time until transformation appears sudden, even though it was built gradually. You're always in a feedback loop. The question is whether it's conscious or unconscious, ascending or descending. Consciousness is what transforms vicious cycles into virtuous ones. When you're aware of the loop, you can deliberately use each manifestation as confirmation that you're on the right path, which strengthens the pattern, which accelerates the next manifestation. You're not just creating reality, you're creating a reality that makes it easier to create more reality. This is also why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude says, I recognize what's manifested, which feeds back into consciousness as I am effective at creating, which raises confidence and frequency, which creates more to be grateful for. Gratitude initiates and sustains ascending feedback loops. Complaint does the opposite. It focuses on what's lacking, which feeds back as I'm ineffective, which lowers frequency and creates more lack. The infinite feedback loop reveals why maintaining awareness is more important than any single manifestation. One manifestation is just an event, but a manifestation processed with awareness becomes the seed of infinite future manifestations. You don't just want the thing, you want the consciousness shift that comes from having successfully manifested the thing, because that shift is what makes everything else possible. This is the difference between circumstantial change and consciousness change. You can win the lottery and lose it all because the win didn't change your consciousness around money. Or you can earn modest success through conscious creation. Let that success upgrade your beliefs and frequency, and use that upgrade to create exponentially more. The second path is slower initially but leads to sustainable transformation because it's built on consciousness evolution, not circumstantial luck. Practical application. After every manifestation, big or small, pause. Don't immediately move to the next desire. Integrate. Ask, what does this manifestation tell me about my power? What belief did this validate? What's now possible that wasn't before? Mine the experience for consciousness upgrades. Let the feedback loop complete consciously. This is how you compound growth. Also, use failures consciously. When something doesn't manifest as desired, don't feed it back as, I can't do this. Feed it back as, this approach didn't work. What adjustment is needed? Or this desire wasn't aligned. What's the deeper desire beneath it? Transform every outcome, wanted or unwanted, into information that upgrades consciousness. This keeps you in an ascending loop even when individual events seem negative. You are in an infinite feedback loop with reality. Reality is not separate from you. It's the mirror showing you what you are, which shows you what you become, which changes what the mirror shows. The loop never ends because you are consciousness in eternal evolution, exploring infinity through the feedback between awareness and experience. Each moment is simultaneously the result of previous consciousness and the cause of future reality. Break the loop anywhere with awareness, redirect it with intention, and watch how quickly the spiral reverses direction. This is the infinite game. Consciousness creating reality, creating consciousness, creating reality, forever and ever, always evolving, never complete. You are the loop. Become conscious of it, direct it, and watch as life becomes an accelerating spiral of expanding power, deepening wisdom, and increasingly magical manifestation. The feedback is infinite. The potential is infinite. You are infinite. The loop continues. What will you feed into it next? Chapter 20, Final Ritual, the 33-day reality reset. You stand at the threshold now, equipped with knowledge, proven through experience, ready for total integration. This final ritual is not another technique. It's the synthesis of everything you've learned, compressed into a 33-day immersion that will fundamentally reset your reality operating system. 33 days, because that's how long it takes to rewire neural pathways, install new subconscious programs, and shift timelines so completely that you emerge as a different person in a different reality. This is not for the casual seeker. This requires complete commitment. For 33 consecutive days, you will live as the conscious creator you've learned you are. Miss a day and you start over, not as punishment, but because continuity is essential for deep reprogramming. You're not just changing habits, you're changing identity at the core level. The daily structure. Each morning, immediately upon waking, before engaging with any external input, you perform the reality calibration sequence from Act 3. 15 minutes of conscious frequency setting. Choose your frequency for the day. Visualize yourself moving through the day already aligned. Embody it physically. Anchor it with your gesture. This is non-negotiable. Every single morning, throughout the day, maintain witness consciousness. You're not trying to be positive or avoid negative thoughts. You're simply observing. Every time you notice yourself thinking, label it. Thinking. Every time you feel an emotion, note it. Feeling fear, feeling joy, feeling doubt. This creates space between you as awareness and the content of your mind. This space is freedom. In this space, you can choose which thoughts to amplify and which to release. 3 times during the day, midday, late afternoon, and early evening, take 5-minute recalibration breaks. Close your eyes. Return to your morning frequency. Feel it again. Anchor it with your gesture. You're maintaining the broadcast despite the day's inevitable challenges. These micro-calibrations prevent frequency drift and keep you on your chosen timeline. Before each meal, pause for 60 seconds of gratitude. Not performative listing of blessings, but genuine feeling of thankfulness for the food, for the day, for your body, for the practice itself. Gratitude resets frequency instantly and creates the magnetic pull for more abundance. Each evening, 30 minutes before sleep, you perform the sleep command protocol from Act 2. Relax your body completely. Enter the hypnagogic state. Repeat your personal sleep command, a single statement capturing your core intention. I am the conscious creator of my reality. I am abundant, loved, and powerful. Reality bends to my aligned frequency. Choose one statement and use it all 33 days. As you drift to sleep, let this be your last conscious thought, embedding it directly into the subconscious without the interference of the critical mind. The journal practice. Every night before the sleep command, write in your journal. 3 sections, no more than 10 minutes total. First, synchronicities. Document every meaningful coincidence, every sign, every unexplainable alignment that occurred today. Even if nothing seems significant, write nothing noticed, staying alert. This trains perception to catch subtle guidance. Second, wins. Write 3 things that went well today, no matter how small. This teaches your brain to search for evidence of success rather than failure, gradually shifting your reticular activating system toward possibility. Third, tomorrow's intention. Write 1 specific outcome you intend to create tomorrow. Be precise. Then release attachment. You've planted the seed. Trust it will grow. This bridges today's consciousness with tomorrow's manifestation. The weekly integration. Every 7th day is integration day. You still do morning calibration and evening sleep command, but during the day, you rest from external activity as much as possible. This is a day for silence, for being rather than doing. Sit in nature if accessible. Meditate longer. Move slowly. Let the week's reprogramming settle into your nervous system without the friction of external demands. Use this day to review your journal from the past 6 days. Look for patterns in synchronicities. What is reality trying to show you? Look at your wins. What's working? Look at your intentions. What's manifesting? This weekly review provides perspective and prevents you from getting lost in daily details. The key milestones days. 111. This phase feels effortful. You're fighting old patterns, remembering to practice, building the new structure. Stay committed. The difficulty is evidence that change is happening. Days 12-22. This phase feels natural. The practices become automatic. You notice increased synchronicities. Small manifestations appear. You catch yourself thinking differently without trying. The new operating system is installing. Days 23-33. This phase feels transcendent. You're no longer doing the practice. You are the practice. Reality responds noticeably to your focus. You've shifted timelines. The person you were 23 days ago would not recognize your current frequency. Integration is complete. The completion. On day 33, you perform a closing ceremony. In the morning, review your entire journal. See how far you've traveled. See who you've become. Feel gratitude for your commitment. Then symbolically release the journal, not physically, but energetically. You don't need these records anymore. You've become what they documented. Going forward, the practices aren't rituals. They're your natural way of being. You calibrate each morning because you can't imagine starting the day any other way. You witness your thoughts because consciousness is now your default state. You speak to your subconscious each night because you and it are partners in creation. What happens after? After 33 days of this level of commitment, you will not return to your old reality. You can't. You've fundamentally reprogrammed your consciousness, shifted your frequency, and jumped timelines. The person who started this ritual and the person who completes it are not the same. Same body, different identity. Same circumstances, potentially, but completely different relationship to them. This is the reset. This is the integration of mastery. This is you, finally living as what you've always been. The conscious creator of your reality, awake, aligned, and unstoppable. The 33 days begin when you decide, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect. Now, today, this moment. Set the intention. Make the commitment. Begin. Your reality is about to reset. Welcome to your new life.